Dana White joins us here on the Doug Gottlieb Show on Fox Sports Radio. UFC 284 is upon us. I got a lot of things to ask about there. Okay, but in your business, what have you guys been able to take from the NFL business that's allowed you guys to grow to this incredible level?
That's a good question. I think in the beginning, we took a little bit of something from everything. I mean, first of all, I was a huge boxing fan growing up. So I used to look at boxing, and I used to take all the things that I loved to put into the show and all the things that I hated about boxing to take out of the show. Specifically with the NFL, I mean, I guess what I would look at is how they became so powerful, and they would have different games on different networks and different deals with different guys. I mean, that is something that I aspire to.
I mean, think about what they have now, right?
Yeah.
They have Amazon, so they have streaming, right? They're on ESPN, ABC. They're on CBS. They're on NBC. They're on Fox. They're on everywhere. Like, it's brilliant in terms of their business, and they create new windows by playing overseas because of the different time zones.
Yeah.
Like, it really is a very interesting, and your business model, what you did with the island during COVID, right? That was groundbreaking. And I think your ability to create, a level of a number of Super Bowls during the year, which others can't create, I feel like is a bit, and I don't really want to say it's stolen off the NFL or whatever, but it's finding your own kind of path to raise your business model.
100%. And their content is so powerful that, for instance, I'll give you an example. The only reason I still have DirecTV was for the football package. That's the only reason I had DirecTV. So now wherever they go, I will go to too. And I think that's one of the things that's happened with our content too. Whenever we go to a new place, like we're on ESPN Plus, and we're a staple for ESPN Plus, just like they were for DirecTV. But, a few years ago, I would be doing radio interviews and stuff like that, and people would talk about me as sort of like the commissioner of UFC, and they'd say, what advice would you give Roger Goodell? And I said, Roger Goodell? I mean, the NFL is doing multi-billion-dollar, you could say that there's always going to be critics, but it'd be tough to say that Roger Goodell hasn't led the NFL into being one of the most powerful sports franchises in the history of the world.
With all the deals you've done, where does Conor being back, where does that rank in terms of, level of importance or the amount of energy you've put towards it?
Yeah, I mean, when you have a guy who's a major global superstar, it's always great when he comes back. You know what I mean? He's become one of those guys. He's like The Rock. You know what I mean? The Rock is out doing his business deals and doing all this stuff. And when he comes back to the WWE, it's a big deal and everybody gets excited about it. I mean, that's really how Conor's become for us. So for him to come back this year, he's coaching the Ultimate Fighter with Michael Chandler. And it's the first time that ESPN has ever had the Ultimate Fighter on the network. It's been on ESPN Plus. So it's a big deal for us and for ESPN too.
284. What fight in the card are you most excited about?
I have to be most excited about the main event. The number one pound for pound fighter in the world fighting the number 2 pound for pound fighter in the world, and they're both world champions. Volkanovski's moving up to take Islam's title. It just doesn't get any better than this. These are the fights that boxing always wishes they could make, but never does. Two guys who are the absolute best in the world in their prime, fighting when they should.
You couldn't be more right? Boxing had a chance to have this. I mean,
they've had 100 chances to do it.
But but in this era, they had a chance, and they could never get. And by the time they got, it was 3 years past his prime, right?
Yep.
Pacquiao's 3 years past his prime, and he's injured.
The Crawford fight right now too, they could do, and they can't get it done.
The problem is that as good as Crawford is, doesn't have the cachet.
Right, I agree. But if boxing would do those kind of fights, it would build into that, Whoever would win the Crawford-Spence fight, then they move up and fight somebody. It's just, you have to have those fights to turn somebody into a real superstar.
When was the moment that you knew, not it was a hit, but I used to watch back in the day. I remember when I'm close with Anik. By the way, how old is Anik? He's like 40, but because he went gray early, that's the genius. Either go bald early or gray early, then no one knows how old you are.
That is
like
funny.
He's like 40 years old.
Well, if you look at what Anik has done in the UFC, he's grown into that role, and he's incredible.
He's awesome.
He's doing great.
He's awesome representative of your business and of the fights. He's awesome.
I agree.
But anyway, when he left it, he was like, dude, I'm just telling you, like, this is the deal. And I used to watch late at night, and I used to think, like, I love watching this. Like, it almost felt like a guilty pleasure. When was the moment, though, that you knew, like, mainstream, this is even beyond my wildest imagination?
Oh, God. I mean, as we started to really go global and we would go into these other countries, we fought so hard to make it big here. Then you start to go into other countries and you're selling out arenas and the crowds. Like when you go to, we'll be in London soon for the Usman Leon Edwards fight again. London it sells out in seconds before they even know who's on the card. And when you go there, the energy and the buzz inside that building. This weekend in Perth, we're in Perth, Australia for this pound for pound fight, and it will be insanity. And it's one of the top 5 biggest fights in UFC history. That's what it's trending to be right now. So every time you keep going, to the next level, just when you think you can't get any bigger, it always blows
So
me away.
You've been in the Garden, right? You've been in Perth.
So think about this. We weren't allowed to get into New York because of all the the political stuff that was going on there. We're number 1, number 2, and I think number 4 all time at Madison Square Garden.
What's your holy grail? What's the white whale that's still out there to take this to?
I want to this is more of a legacy thing for me because of how I grew up in boxing. Africa. I want to do a big, crazy event in Africa.
That'd be amazing. In the meantime, it'll have to be Perth. It's UFC 284. You know where to get it. He's the one and only Dana White. Really appreciate your time.
Thank you.